people have compared Ready or Not to the survival horror genre. The spooky sounds, the atmosphere, and the death lurking around the corner makes it appear that way at first glance. But this is only on a surface level. It's horror, for sure, but survival horror is so much more than spooky visuals and sounds. It's a tension that persists even when you are winning, sustained by resource-based mechanics. For example, I think Ready or Not is much more comparable to Slender. You go around a spooky area crossing off your to-do list until an abrupt and unfair game over hits you. That's horror. Being scared. Winning means the game is over. Of course, Ready or Not has so much more going on than Slender, and please don't misunderstand, I'm not trying to diminish its quality. Ready or Not is a solid tactical shooter, much like Insurgency, but it's not survival horror. This is Resident Evil 2002. In it, you have to solve puzzles to progress. Thing is, lots of enemies stand in your way. Enemies that require ammo or other items to be taken down. Thing is, puzzle items, ammo, weapons, save items, healing items all take up space in your inventory. You must choose what to take with you and what to leave in your safe room. Choose wrong and you'll face death or have to trek back to the safe room, wasting resources along the way. Choose right and you'll accomplish your goal and make progress, but you'll still lose those resources. Win or lose, you expend things that you need. This makes every moment tense and scary. This is survival horror. I'm Pliskin, and today I'm going to tell you why I believe it's not only possible, but easy to translate this style of play into a tactical shooter, making it survival horror for real. So before going into things like the sandbox, gameplay loop, and level design, let's set a basic premise to paint a picture in your head. You are Tyler Hartman, a member of a local SWAT team who's banded together with his squad mates to raid a derelict building where people have been going missing for years, against your superior's wishes. Upon arrival, the rest of the police force surrounds the building, forcing your team inside. After getting ambushed by crackheads, you are separated from your team. It's up to you to work your way around the building, clear rooms, disarm traps, solve puzzles, and find your team. Start by fighting lowlifes in condemned spaces and work your way down to fighting militarized units in a pristine basement where you'll find a truth that makes you wish you just stayed home. Your goal is to push deeper into the building. A floor will consist of a puzzle, traps, and psychos waiting to kill you. Like Resident Evil, you have limited inventory and need to manage what you bring with you. Deciding when you push a little further and when it's time to save and reorganize is crucial to making progress. Here's an example. You just finished clearing half a hallway, room by painstaking room. In one of the rooms, you find a mysterious red marble. You remember a red painted door towards the end of the hallway that you haven't cleared yet. You check your inventory. 6 total slots. 1 is taken up by your .416 carbine with 11 remaining shots loaded in. Another is taken up by your custom Glock 17, fully loaded. Another slot is for your spare Glock mags. Your 4th slot is taken up by your knife. The 5th one goes to the marble you just found. 1 slot is open. Your health is in the yellow, from a 9mm that your vest caught. You remember a flashbang left in the item box that may make up for your .416's lack of ammo. That being said, the save room is a very long trek away. Do you risk pushing forward and potentially losing all of your progress to see what the marble does? Maybe it's another safe room that you can unlock, or maybe you'll get stabbed on your way down and lose all your progress. One really frustrating element of tactical shooters is the abruptness of game overs. And I understand that a tactical shooter is supposed to be difficult and that you should be punished for not being on your A game 24/7, but come on. Ready or Not and Insurgency both suffer from bullet spongy enemies, broken AI, and an overabundance of clunkiness. Like, maybe you could convince me that tossing a nade is this slow, but I know for a fact that it doesn't take this long to switch to your sidearm.
Okay, I brief what we do. So, something
Nice, good. Right.
So there are two mechanics/features I want to implement to avoid such frustrations. Less AI and specific behaviors tied to specific AI classes. A basic lowlife will hide and wait to ambush you with a sharp object. Catch them off guard or listen for their schizo ramblings to know when they're close by. A thug will utilize a handgun. He will be loud and constantly be taunting you. He will be inaccurate and take forever to reload. A government agent will be much more challenging and utilize an automatic Chris Vector. Save your power weapons and items for these guys. They will be quieter like the lowlife, but can shoot you and ambush you like the thug. You'll never deal with more than 6 enemies at a time on a given floor. Quality and fairness over quantity here. An injury mechanic will add consequence without just ending your game outright. Regular damage caught by your vest or helmet will decrease your overall health bar, which you can use basic healing items to recover from. But an injury to your legs will render you slower, with a limp, even if you heal up. If an arm injury occurs, then say goodbye to two-handed weapons, only your pistol, your knife, and your nades. To remove these debuffs, a return to the save room where your medic, a Rebecca Chambers type of character, can fix you up. This way we can have a decent margin of error with your health bar, but still maintain fear of consequence, and do some cool shit with the sandbox that we'll talk about later. On the most basic level, I want this to be a more vertical Baker or Spencer mansion, with a nest type area towards the very bottom. Of course, hallways are going to be super important since there is a pressure to clear every room along the way, lest you get ambushed from behind. Every door frame, floor panel, or interactable may have a trap connected to it, so inspecting your environment in a similar means to tracking the right pair of footprints in Metal Gear Solid 4 in order to avoid death is crucial. Traps could be anything from a grenade tripwire to a noisemaker or a toxic substance you'll be exposed to. We could even add in Metal Gear Solid 2 style sensory bombs. Every time you set one of these guys off, you have to enter a timing-based minigame a la Bioshock 2 to make sure the building doesn't go down. Again, stressing that whole idea of just because you fucked up doesn't mean you get a game over. The room layouts won't be anything too intricate. Assortments of kitchens, beds, living rooms. The places where an enemy will try to ambush you will be consistent. Closets, behind a couch, under a bed, behind a kitchen counter, behind a pillar, maybe hiding behind the drapes. You will learn the places they hide, and you will learn what to look for. If you check your corners, look for traps, and shoot before they finish their alert telegraph, you'll come out on top every single time. Endgame enemies will move more and shoot faster, but if you've saved your power weapons, you'll be good. The style of camera will influence how these levels play a lot. First person may be the obvious choice here. I mean, Resident Evil 7 has showed us how well a traditional Resident Evil works as a first-person shooter. Allow Ethan to peek corners and we would already be halfway there. But a fixed camera could work as well. Not so much like Resident Evil like 2002, but more like Metal Gear Solid 2. Imagine walking into a room, not being able to see who's in there, but hearing the raspy breaths of a knife-wielding maniac. You use the first-person view button to see a hand sticking out from behind a couch. Now you have to mentally prepare to angle yourself just right to be ready to shoot, right as the guy jumps out at you. This sounds pretty tense to me. Point is, there is a lot that can be done here. Progression through the levels could be done in a variety of ways. Find a key for a door, figure out how to build an explosive that tears through the floor, Create the right chemical mixture to save a degenerate from ODing so he can reveal a secret passcode to you. Either way, I like the idea of solving a big puzzle to make it to the next spot. As you make progress, you should unlock shortcuts that make it easier and safer to return to save rooms. Maintenance ways, pipes, and air vents, things that you should notice along the way. Because of this, the save room will be placed towards the middle of the map, at least the save room that has the medic in it. Once an area is clear, it should remain clear. Enemies may wander around and set up ambushes in different places, but once they are down, giving the player room to breathe while they solve puzzles. Although this might be hard to accomplish, as the paranoia of wondering whether or not there's somebody hiding under the bed you're walking by will be pretty hard to shake off. So hopefully by now you have an idea of not only this hypothetical game I'm talking about and how it would look and feel, but also the elements I've injected into it to truly make it a survival horror game, rather than just a game with scary moments. So now we can talk about one of the most overlooked elements of game design, which is also one of my most favorite things to talk about on this channel, the sandbox. The 416 carbine will be your tactical bread and butter. Optics that make shots to the end of the hallway easier, a spammable semi-auto trigger to mag dump into close range charging enemies, and a flashlight to blind enemies and illuminate your way. Ideally, an inexperienced player should have just under a full magazine at a given time. Just enough to make it through a fight, but then to also feel vulnerable after said fight. Some downsides could include enemies knowing your location when you use the flashlight, the muzzle flash and noise stunning the player in tighter, darker environments, and of course not being able to use it when you have an arm injury. I also want to throw in a Benelli M3. This may be a shotgun, but I'm going to balance it like a Resident Evil grenade launcher. Shots are powerful, but ammunition is rare. The first kind of ammunition is standard buck, that gets fired in semi-auto and is effective at clearing out even the hardest enemies. Breaching rounds are the second kind of ammunition and can only be used in pump action. You want to save these ones for blowing off doorways that you think might be trapped. So instead of trying to poke open a door and see what's underneath it and risk blowing up, you can just blow off the hinges from a safe distance. Incendiary shells are going to be the most powerful ammunition type in the game. You want to save these for when you really need it. Incendiaries are also fired from the pump action setting. Like the 416, you can't use this with an arm injury. Now we have the Glock 17 Custom. This is the weakest weapon in the game, and the one that takes the most skill to use effectively. This is your starting weapon that you'll have before you find anything else. At first, it will have no attachments. It can take upwards of 5 shots to kill a thug or a schizo, and more than 10 rounds to kill an agent. You will need to make yourself vulnerable to make sure your shots are accurate beyond anything more than point-blank range. But you can find a suppressor to avoid the stun effects and sound, a flashlight to illuminate the dark, and an infrared laser that makes this the most accurate weapon in the game when it's paired with night vision goggles. Every enemy in the game will utilize a gun that uses Glock magazines, so you also will have more than enough ammo to go through this game multiple times over. And this is the only gun you can still use no matter how injured you become. Then we'll have a knife, which is a stealth tool, a grab escape weapon, so if you have someone that's grabbing you, if you don't have your knife on you, you're going to take some damage. If you have your knife on you, your character will just stab them away. And of course, this will act as a backup for when your ammunition runs out. It's best used in conjunction with the Glock. Now in terms of throwables, I want to feature 2 of these, both of which are going to be power weapons. First we have the flashbang. Want to skip an encounter? Run into a room and grab whatever you need without being attacked? Use this very rare item. The second will be a smoke grenade. This is the ultimate power weapon. Render every enemy on a given floor incapacitated for a few minutes. Just make sure you have a gas mask, otherwise you'll also be incapacitated. There will only be 3 of these for the entire game. So that's it. That's my pitch for a tactical shooter that's a survival horror game. I've been getting pretty frustrated seeing this comparison made without an understanding for what survival horror is. Now that being said, there is this game called 6 Days in Fallujah that's actually taken the survival horror focus seriously. With difficult moral decisions you'll have to make, multiple ways that you can tackle a problem, and an emphasis on the tension of not just the action, but the planning and information gathering before the action. This game is still in development, and the developers are actually considering putting split screen into this, and as you know, I love fucking split screen. So, if you enjoyed this video, the best way you can show that is heading onto Steam and letting these developers know in the discussion boards that you want to see split screen. Please do it. For me. Anyways, this has been Pliskin, over and out.
This is Solid Snake. Hey, subscribe to Pliskin Boy. God damn it.
You heard him.